Hey everybody, it's Mark again, and I've been working on this Alexander Fleig 1880 movement um, for longer than I really cared to. But the problem was it wouldn't cuckoo unless the minute hand went 360 degrees. And so I ended up taking another one of my clocks movement out to see what happens. And I want you to pay attention to the third wheel warning pin versus this lever right here. The position where it's at versus the lever here. When I trip the movement, immediately the third wheel turns and it goes underneath this lever and it rests on the wire that lifts that lever. So that wasn't going on with my Alexander Fleig movement. I'll trip it again so you can see. If I get this thing tripped, I don't want to really turn the hands all the way around. You should be able to see it. I'm tripping it. See there, it lifts up and immediately it goes underneath it. And so what was going on with my Alexander Fleig movement, when you rotated the hands, it stayed on that brass piece. It would not go underneath. And that's because the wire, this wire right here, was bent wrong. And I had to figure out how to bend it. And so now, when I trip it, see, immediately it went underneath. I'm going to do that again. Just immediately it goes underneath. It wasn't doing that before. It was staying, hitting this brass piece, and it would take a full revolution to get it to trip. So now, it immediately goes underneath. I still have to adjust it some because there's some pressure. There's some pressure that's going on. But immediately it's going underneath the brass piece, which is what it needs to do. Before, this wire was bent too far up, and so what was happening was, when you tripped it, the wire was up here by this brass piece, so this couldn't go underneath this brass piece. I hope that makes sense to y'all. See, when you trip it, it goes underneath, and then it rides on that wire, as you rotate the hands. You see it riding on the wire. Also, this piece here, this wire here, you should be able to see it here. This wire was bent up too much, and it needs to be resting on the wire that goes across, that is attached on the other side of this wire. Just like this lever here, you can see that brass wire right here. It rests on this pen. This one's made a little bit different. This pen rests on that wire that comes across to lift this wire lever. Well, this pen, you can see it here, is stationary on the Alexander Fleig movement. It's not stationary. It's just a additional wire that is mounted to this lever here. You should be able to see that wire here. But it has to be touching the wire that comes across and goes down in order for it to all work right. So I should be able to put this thing back together. As you can see, when I turn the minute hand, I don't have the Virgin crutch assembly on. Makes it easier. The cuckoo functions. And that was on the hour. I wasn't holding the wheel tight enough. And the clock, cuckoo's not bouncing. I'll discuss that in a second. You want to make sure a couple of things happen when you set this up. When this lever comes out of the count wheel. It should rest on the count wheel. If there's space between that lever and the count wheel, the cuckoo will bounce like that as it's functioning. And you also have to adjust the lever that goes from here to the cuckoo bird to prevent it from bouncing. You can't really see it because I'm on the smaller numbers, but let me get it to a higher number. As you can see, this lever is resting on the count wheel, so the bird is not bouncing. It's about time to put this movement in the case. I want to put the birching crutch assembly on it. But it's almost time to put this thing in the case and where it needs to be. And here I have the clock on my test stand. It barely fits because it's a huge clock, but it's ticking away. One of the issues was this post right here was loose. It screws into the rear plate, and if this is loose, vibration will cause the clock to stop ticking. But as you can see, it's ticking away. I got my B amplifier on it. It sounds good. So the next step is put the back door on, hang it on the wall, and put the topper on. I'm not really for sure exactly what size weights go on it. It didn't come with weights, but you know, I only paid $60 for this clock, so I can't complain. But I'm gonna try some weights and see what happens. And here we have it hanging on my wall. It's the best place I could find to hang it because it is freaking huge. My ceilings are 7 feet tall here, or more. I don't really know. I got the hands off a little bit, but to fix it, it would me taking this movement back out. $18.80, Alexander Fleig. Currently I have 8-day weights on it. This is the clock that Steve Fowler did a lot of work for me on. Made the antlers, repaired a bunch of parts. Anyway, I'm glad I got it hanging on my wall. I hope y'all like this video. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and may God bless each and every one of you. I forgot to show you the pendulum. Here's the pendulum. adjustable section there. As you can hear it ticking away without the pendulum. And that's the way it's supposed to do. With me putting my finger there, it's still, the pendulum leader wire is still ticking away. And that way I know it's in beat. What a magnificent clock. I love it.